You're listening to Systemic Error Podcast. The failure was designed.
John Roberts just invented a fantasy game, and he knows it, based on an article by Kirk Freudenberg. The court calls it trust, that is the lie, by a ruling with a mask on. The immediate story is simple. The Supreme Court, in a 6-3 decision, wiped out a 91-year-old limit on when a president can fire FTC members, and Chief Justice Roberts defended that move by saying the president must have officers he can trust. The reporting made that sound like a routine constitutional development. It is not routine, and the language is the point. Trust is not the principle here. Independent commissions exist because power corrupts judgment when it can punish dissent on demand. That is the whole design. Strip away the protection, and you do not get trust between the institutions. You get dependence. You get subordinates learning which answers are safe, which objections are career-ending, and which truths never need to be spoken aloud. Roberts' logic reverses reality. He treats domination as a precondition for confidence, as if loyalty and force from above were the same thing as institutional credibility. It is not. A boss who can fire at will does not create trust. He creates fear, then asks to be congratulated for the silence. The real beneficiary is one man. The court did not hand power to the public. It handed more of it to the president. The opinion's emotional center is not the demos, not the people supposedly served by independent regulation, but a single executive whose trust is apparently more important than the independence of the office itself. That is the central tell. This is not some abstract theory about constitutional structure. It is a decision built around the fantasy that the presidency is occupied by a good faith actor who deserves discretion because he will use it responsibly. The source text is right to name the fantasy for what it is. A game-piece president, not the actual one in office, and certainly not Trump. Misdirection by design. The polite language around this kind of ruling is a form of political camouflage. Melon's doctrine, majority reasoning, textual fidelity all work to make a power grab sound like a technical adjustment. That is how the court launders consequences. It speaks as though it is settling a debate among experts, when it is actually rearranging who can control the state. The source's anger is aimed at the right target. The justices are not detached referees trapped in a neutral parlor. They are political actors making a durable choice about where authority should flow. Calling that choice a theory of trust is not analysis. It is self-justifying theater. The unitary executive is court fantasy. The larger pattern is not subtle. The unitary executive is a doctrine that keeps expanding because it offers conservatives the constitutional vocabulary for concentrating power while pretending they are merely restoring order. It is a fantasy of clean command, one that assumes the problem in American governance is friction rather than abuse. But friction is sometimes the only thing standing between the public and arbitrary rule. Independent agencies, statutory limits, and multi-member commissions are not decorative inconveniences. They are barriers built after hard experience with what happens when one office can absorb every institution around it. What this ruling really reveals. This case is not about trust. It is about who gets to command, who gets to resist, and who is expected to smile while power removes the last restraints on itself. The court is not protecting democratic governance by making the president stronger. It is normalizing a politics in which the president's preferences are treated as the constitutional baseline, and every institutional defense against him is framed as an anomaly. That is how authoritarian drift happens in plain sight. Not always through open seizure, but through language that dresses submission up as constitutional wisdom. You've been listening to Systemic Error. Thanks to Alternet for today's article, with the automated voice of Laborts. Thanks for listening.